dissolving in this current real estate industry. Today, we are going to talk to an expert and a friend, Nick Waldner. Nick is a mega agent. He is also a real estate or a market center real estate investor and a speaker, and so much more. I'm going to turn it over to Nick. So Nick, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to be here virtually. My name's Nick Waldner. I sell real estate out of Maryland. I've got a team of about 20 people. We'll close a little over 400 homes this year. That's probably my main focus in business. I've also got a lot of multifamily all over the country. I have some investments in some market centers and a couple other things in the speaking, and I had a TV show for a while. So I've kind of been all around the real estate world the entire time, my entire career. I've been doing this for about 18 years.
18 years. And before we move any further, we also have to mention that you have a lovely wife and a handsome little son.
I do, and he's just about to turn 2 next month.
So exciting. So many
excited.
So many exciting things. So let's just start off right away. Nick, do we talk about the elephant in the room, the elephant being COVID? Do we mention that today?
Yeah, I think you have to. And I think this is something that I see people make mistakes all the time. This is what's going on for all of us. We're all in this storm together. The rain, the waves, everything's happening around us, and there's nobody that can get away from it. So I think it's very clear that it needs to be discussed. And here's what I want you guys to think about when you're discussing it with others. We know it's a storm. We know we're all in boats, and there's waves and rain and thunder and all that stuff. But everybody's boat is a little bit different. Everybody's boat, somebody might have some health issues. Somebody else might have lost their job. Somebody else might have had their business booming during all this. Who knows? But you have to just come with a little bit more empathy and understand that first and foremost, we have to talk about security and safety. The community is the most important. We got to start there.
Well, let's start there and talk about the difference, Nick, between where I am sitting in Florida, Orange County right now, and where you are sitting in Maryland right now. What's the difference between our two states and where we are at as far as COVID's concerned?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you we have armed guards outside of each of our houses, but it sort of feels that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're allowed to leave to go to the grocery store. And any kind of medical things like that. But other than that, it is a shelter in place here in Maryland. Now we're starting to turn the corner. That could change in the next week or two. But as of right now, it is shelter in place and everybody is in their home for the most part.
And I bring that up for a couple of reasons. And first, I want to say one of the reasons why I asked you back on the show is you were here a year or so ago and you made a significant impact in our marketplace as a leader for us, Nick, teaching our realtors how to be better. That's one reason why I asked you back. The second reason that I asked you back is during COVID, I have watched some of your videos and really have stopped and listened and engaged as a listener to learn from you. And last week I thought, wait a minute, I haven't heard enough from Nick, and everything I have heard you say has come with relevance. And when we talk very specifically about, I wanted to say thriving, but Zach Blesnick mentioned to me that thriving is probably an overused word. I believe you've been thriving right through the middle of this COVID experience. So talk to us about evolving or dissolving and what changed for you and what you're doing to make certain that you have continued to see increased, I want our viewers to hear me say, increased success during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, the great news is for my particular boat or for my company, are bigger than they were last year. Our May numbers are already bigger than they were last year, and we're tracking for a better June than we had last year. So
can I pause you? Can I ask you to pause? Yeah, I was going to say real quick, but you're headed to where I want you to head, so I'm going to be quiet. Sorry.
Yeah, anybody can say that January, February, March, they were doing well. Most of us were. In fact, it hit up here. The sheltered home started on March 18th. By the time we had settlements in March, all that work was done in December, January, February. That it wasn't really affected. It's now, right now in May and in June, where you're either seeing a major impact on your business, or if you pivoted and you changed, you're actually thriving through this.
Right. So you pivoted and changed how? And Nick, if somebody that's watching us in the real estate industry did not pivot and change, is it too late?
It's never too late.
Okay.
We're all dealt this hand, and we all had to figure out what to do with it. Now, everybody's heard of the fight or freeze. There's also, the fight or flight. There's also freeze. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do when faced with something like this. They don't know whether to run or whether to fight, and they just freeze. And that's really not what we want to do. We want to take action. We want to start moving. We want to change our perspective to trying to sell, and now we're just trying to help. So every single one of our conversations, we were calling everybody in our database, everybody that was a past client, a friend, anybody at all that we knew personally. We were picking up the phone and calling and having a very simple conversation. Hey, Susan, it's Nick. With all that's going on, I just wanted to call and check on you. I just wanted to see how you and your family are doing.
Wow, and I love that. And I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Ray Lopez, because he said the exact same thing, Nick, which is this is an opportunity to genuinely reach out and let people know you care. And with that reach out, you're also saying we're still in business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't actually have to say you're still in business. What I've found is my conversations typically started around family, around health, and around finances. And if somebody was struggling, I was looking to see how I could help. Like if I had an immune compromised person who was saying, hey, I'm struggling to get to the grocery store, then I'm going to offer to go and pick up groceries for them or get a shipped order sent over to them or something like that. I'm going to try to help solve their problem if that's the direction we go.
Right.
However, if I call and they're in a boat where the jobs are good, wife and kids are good, everybody's feeling okay, it typically leans back to then they ask me, well, how's the real estate business? How's everything with you? And then it becomes a real estate conversation.
Right.
But I don't choose that path. I let that path organically choose itself.
Yeah, because you're allowing your customer to speak to you and back to the listening, right? It's so much about what you do in real estate is being genuine and truly listening to what people's needs are, regardless of whether we're in COVID or we're not. So back to the original question, Nick, which is what things did you do? I hear you saying we got to our sphere and we called past, present, the people that we knew to check on them, to hear about family, health, finances, and to end the call with some form of helping them if needed. What else did you do to pivot in your business to change the way you were doing things because of your shut-in?
Yeah, so that's kind of the outward perspective. That was how our outbound prospecting turned into. But internally, I realized very quickly, like on day 2, that, hey, this is going to get pretty awkward. The walls are going to start coming in. People are going to feel very anxious. They're going to be nervous. There's so much fear and insecurity about what's going on and not knowing what is safe and what's not safe. So I realized that we needed to have more conversations and we need to be better communicating than the team has ever done. So we immediately changed to Zoom calls every single morning at 8:30. At 8:30 in the morning, we had a Zoom call with the entire team where we talked about what went on the day before, what has been working for you, what successes have you had, where have you had failures, where have you heard some sort of conversation that you didn't know what to say or you didn't know where to go with that. We went right to the heart of what's going on right now to build confidence in our agents so they know how to have these conversations, they know what they're supposed to be saying, how to manage the conversations before they even happen and being prepared.
Wow.
So we started that every morning at 8:30. That was from 8:30 to
Wait,
9.
Nick, I thought realtors didn't work at 8:30. I thought they didn't start till 10 or 11. That's a rumor I heard.
I mean, if we back up a little bit, if you show me your schedule before noon, I can show you how successful you're going to be in this world.
Love it.
And
Thank you, Nick
I
Waldner.
truly believe that through all of this, locked in this house, not being able to go anywhere, I have gotten up every single morning at 5 a.m. I've done my normal exercise routine. It's changed a little bit because I'm at home instead of at the gym. I still do my journaling. I still do my reading. I get up, shower, shave, and put on a collared shirt every single day.
Love it.
Nothing has changed about my view of working and doing business. The only thing that's changed is rather than getting in a car and driving 30 minutes to work, I'm walking 6 feet into that door and I'm here and I'm at work and I get started and I work.
So 8:30 in the morning, your team's on a call to begin having those dialogues about what to do and how to do it.
And that's 8:30 every morning. It's a Zoom call so we can see each other. Everybody's up, everybody's showered, everybody's normal. Then by noon, so everybody has to set goals for the day. I'm going to call 30 past clients. I'm going to reach out to 25 people on Facebook. I'm going to call, whatever their prospecting of the day is. Then at 12 o'clock, we all come back for another Zoom, and that one's an hour long, and that's 100% training. It might be training on how we're doing virtual showings. It might be training on the conversations we're having with our buyers or our sellers about safety or about preparing. But we're having trainings that are specific to right now and what our agents need to do to go out into the world and be confident and ready.
Can I drill down and ask you a question about that training real quick? So you do that every single day, Nick?
Every single day, Monday through Friday from 12 to 1. Now, does that not sound like a lot?
Yes.
Every day 30 to 9 and every day 12 to 1.
Yes, it does.
And we're not done. Then we had a 4:30 call, and the 4:30 call is, hey, Susan, your goal today was to call 30 people. How did you do? And we're checking in. And she says, I actually called 35, and I had 3 great conversations, and I got 2 people that are ready to buy as soon as this thing lifts, or they need to sell regardless of what's going on. And then all of a sudden, everybody else on the call hears people having success, even through these trying times.
Right.
And they start thinking to themselves, hey, well, that could be me. I should be doing that. So every single day we did this, 8:30, 12 o'clock, and 4:30. And what it did is the team became closer together. We were more educated. We were more prepared for the conversations. And we ended up succeeding at a much higher level because we did the prep.
Wow. And you see that success today, and are you still doing that today?
Absolutely. I come right back in. I'm in here till 5:30. But again, with no traffic, no commuting, no going anywhere, I'm twice as productive here. As long as my mindset is right, I'm twice as productive here as I would be if I was going into the office.
So your May numbers and your June numbers are projecting to be larger than last year?
Yes. And last year was our best year. So it's not like last year was an off year. We did 110 million or so. And right now we beat January. We're actually a little bit behind for compared to 2019, but February, March, April, now May, and we're tracking for June to all be better than they were last year.
Wow. Any other tip of where you pivoted with COVID to help our viewers know how they can do a better job making sure they are evolving and not dissolving?
Yeah, so here's a stat that I like to tell people, and we started talking about this with my team very early on. If we think of the last big recession, when we had the big housing bubble burst that we all talk about in 2005, 6, 7, depending on where you were and what market. But when that happened, on average, the U.S. sells about 5.7 million homes a year. Now, the absolute bottom of the market, the worst time to be in real estate, we still sold 4.2 million homes that year. So what you're learning is it's not about the market's gone down, so you have to go down. It's the market has changed, have you changed?
Right. So we have to change with it, yes?
Yeah, so can I give you an example of a change that we've made and anybody can do after listening to this call?
Absolutely.
All right, so perfect. So think about who right now is your ideal client. So if I said, who's your ideal client? Is it a buyer? Is it a seller? What would you answer there in Florida? Do you guys have more sellers than buyers or more buyers than sellers?
If I were a realtor in Florida, I would say that a seller's my ideal client because listings capture more future business.
Yeah, and we're in a market right now where we're getting multiple offers on our listings. They're selling in 7 or 8 days. Like, listings are what we want. So let's all be sure that our ideal client is a listing client. Now let's describe that listing client. I want a client who's motivated, who's understanding of the market, and has to move for whatever reason. They're moving for work. And remember, this is not all clients. This is your ideal client.
Right.
So if I start to think about who is motivated to sell their house, has to get it sold and need to move in that direction, my first thought is investors, and especially Airbnb investors. So think about every Airbnb in Florida how many rentals do you think they had in the last 60 days?
A lot.
Virtually none?
No. Oh, renters. I apologize. I thought you meant how many. Okay, I'm with you. Yes, virtually none.
Nobody's traveling. Right. Nobody's flying to Florida. Nobody's coming up to Maryland. Nothing. Everyone's staying put. So unless you had somebody in there prior to all this hitting, you've now gone maybe 2 months without a single rental or a single income producing dollar coming in.
Right.
And now, what's your prediction for the next 60 days? If this lockout ended tomorrow, do you think that everyone would jump on a plane and just fly and start their life over again?
No, sir.
Or is it going to be very easing into it?
Easing.
So we got 4 months of zero income for these Airbnbs. So our conversations have been, we've been calling Airbnb clients and saying, clients or just finding people that we know own our Airbnbs and saying, hey, Susan, with everything that's going on, how are you doing through all this? How's everything going? And we start this question the same way. Right. We want to find out. We want to see if there's any pain. We want to see if there's any struggle. And then if they say, we're really rough on that Airbnb, I don't know what to do. Then I say, well, I got to tell you, I've talked to a lot of my other Airbnb investors, and right now they're looking at this as like the market's hot. It's not a better time to be a seller. We're getting record numbers for all of our listings. They're selling quickly for top dollar. A lot of my investors are cashing out right now. So they're cashing out with their property, getting it sold. And then when this market drops, which we know it's eventually going to, then they're going to come back in and buy. So I just want to know, are you in that situation where it makes sense to cash out now and then come back in when the market starts to drop?
Good question. And I think I want to entertain some conversation about that with you, Nick Waldner.
Yeah, there you go. So again, you just have to change your mindset. Back in the day, short sales was it. We were going after short sales left and right. That was our ideal client. Somebody who needed to sell. The price was determined by the bank, not by them. It was the same thing. So as each market changes, you've just got to adjust what you're doing. You've got to pivot.
And thank you for giving our audience a very practical opportunity to focus on. I really appreciate that. So my next thing for you, Nick, is as we exit COVID, tell the viewers what you're going to continue to do that whether it's virtual, whether it's Zoom, what practices have you adopted during this time that will stay a part of your business model on a go forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, because if you're doing this, if you're doing this like I am, I'm much more productive now than I ever have been. My agents are telling me, because we've got agents that have 1, 2, 3 kids at home. The husband might be away because he's an essential employee somewhere. So they have to be a realtor. They have to be a mom. They have to be a teacher. They have to be the cook. They have to do everything. And how do you work in real estate and still get all this other stuff done? Well, there's only one answer. You've got to get really clear with what your 20% is. And that's the only thing you can focus on. Your 80% you're not doing because you've got so many other things. So what we're seeing is we're all becoming more productive. So we're not changing that. We're going to stick with that. If I call a buyer and I have a good conversation with them on the phone and they say, yeah, actually, we're thinking about getting in the market and buying something, whether it's now or 6 months from now, I'm going to say, great, let's set up a Zoom call and let's talk about that. it's very difficult to get somebody to meet you at a Starbucks or, down at your office or something like that. It's very easy, and people know how to do it now that we've done all this, to jump on a Zoom call, connect with them, build rapport, get everything that you want to get done in that meeting, and then you turn that meeting off and you walk right back up to your family.
Right. So the truth of the matter is these efficiencies we've created have given us a better quality life, but also, I think, honestly, a quicker finish line result because of the fact that we are more efficient because we have less time. So why not still use less time to build our business so we can put our time in other places, right? That's what I hear you saying?
Yes, 100%. Stay efficient and focus on productivity.
Good. Love it. Love it. Love it. And from there, what are your predictions, Mr. Waldner, for what we're going to see over the next 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, and that's a tough one. And I think anybody that tells you, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen, they don't. We're all in this together. We're all going through this together. I think we're still very low inventory. I think we still have buyers that want to buy. You have to remember that COVID didn't change the reason people buy and sell real estate. People buy and sell real estate because of some sort of life event. If you have kids and you need a bigger house, if your kids move to college and you want to downsize, if you get a new job and you want a bigger house, if you lost your job and you need to sell your house, if you get relocated, if there's a death in the family and you need to sell that property, all these things are life events, and nothing about COVID changed those.
Right.
So there's still people that want to buy and there's still people that want to sell, and it's our job to connect them in a safe way, realizing that the community comes first and realizing that we've got to do our part as community members to make sure everybody stays safe. But we've got to focus our effort on getting those people together and allowing them to transact the business that they want to transact.
You use the word community, and I love that because as the show started, Jason put up some pictures of roller skating and a couple of other really cool things. So I'd like to ask you this question, and it's very rhetorical, Nick. Did you care about community before COVID, during COVID, and I'm going to go with after COVID as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anybody that doesn't create their business around the people that know, like them, and trust them, they're making a mistake, because it's so much easier to get a sale and get someone to work with you when they know, like, and trust you. Now, if you ask the average population and you say, how many people in the population are trustworthy? You will get the answer right around 30%. In studies they've done, people will tell you 30% of the population is trustworthy.
Wow.
Now you ask that same group of people, how many people do you know that are trustworthy? And they'll tell you, oh, probably about 70% of the people I know are trustworthy. So if you notice, the default is if I don't know you, I don't trust you.
Right.
But as soon as I know you, I trust you. And that's who's going to do business with you. So focus all of your effort onto the people who know, like, and trust you, and stop trying to run around and find all these new people that have never heard of you or have no idea what you do. And you've got to hit every one of those hurdles before they're willing to say yes.
Nick Waldner, I invited you on the show because you are trustworthy and you are genuine and you have done your job excellently. And part of my goal in Florida is to have some conversations outside of Florida, because the fact of the matter is oftentimes things happen outside of Florida and then they come to Florida, and we have benefited significantly here because we're getting over COVID, right, more rapidly than some of our other states. And I have some really good news in our marketplace. We have seen, Nick, more relocations, contracts coming in from our relocation companies demonstrating that people are still relocating here, and people are still moving from here because of job opportunities outside of here. So whether that's a purchase in Florida from our relocation company or a sale in Florida, we have seen more activity in the last I'd say week than we had been seeing even pre-COVID. So an opportunity for you to move some of your relocation business, some of your people from the Northeast to Florida. What do you think about that? Any predictions there? And not necessarily from Maryland, but from anywhere in the country. Do you see What do you see happening for us in Florida?
Yeah, I mean, guys, let's not kid ourselves. Your weather is incredible. Like, people go there for vacation, and then as they get a little bit older and it's time to retire, why not retire where I want a vacation? Mm-hmm. So that's not changing. People are still going to retire, and they're still going to want to move south. And Florida is a great place. Your income tax, there's a lot of different benefits there. None of that's changing. So your job is to help the person who wants to move from a colder climate into Florida, and you need to make them feel safe, and you want to make them feel confident that you can help them through that entire transaction. And we've sold more houses virtually in the last 2 months than we sold in the last 10 years. Like, I can't tell you how many times we have a client from Rhode Island right now. His wife just got accepted a job at Johns Hopkins University, a big university here. And they're in Rhode Island, and we're walking through a house and showing it to them. And we're using Matterport and 3D tours and walking through everything. And we're using Google Maps, and we're showing them where the Costco and the Wegmans. And it's a whole nother world, but it's just changing the way we do business. It's not changing the business we do.
That's amazing. And I have one final question for you.
Okay.
The last quarter of the year, can I get you physically here in the studio to address our viewers and our real estate industry one more time?
I like that you put me on the spot so that it's hard to say no. That's a great sales technique. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to steal that. I'm gonna do everything in my part to make it down to Florida. I know that right now I have not been traveling at all, obviously with the stay-at-home. But even as this stay-at-home releases, I think I'm probably going to stay put for a while, see what happens. And then as things start to get normal again, or back to a post-normal, because I want to be clear that we had pre 9/11, then 9/11, and now we have post 9/11. Life changed after 9/11. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the same thing. There's going to be a pre-COVID, and there's going to be a post-COVID.
Right.
So post-COVID, things look good. I would love to come down.
All right, I'm going to do a hashtag I just closed Nick Waldner. So our gift to our viewers will be more national conversations. So as you viewers are here, if you have any questions for Nick, please comment, and Nick will promptly get back with you when he's not on his team meeting that he's having daily 3 times a day. Nick will get back with you, and I will also get back with you. And if there's anybody nationally you all would like to see on the Closers platform, please put those suggestions out there too, and we will do our very best to make that happen. Nick Waldner, you are a friend and a professional, and I value you more than words. Viewers, thank you so much for tuning in again, and we will see you next time with Susan West, the Closers platform.